Welcome to the Know Your Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Vipul Basania, and today's guest is Jaspreet Singh. Jaspreet is the founder of Minority Mindset, the entrepreneurship and lifestyle brand that is spreading the message of what it takes to be successful. Having only started this a little over 2 years ago, he's now built up a base of nearly over 300,000 subscribers and is spreading the message faster than ever. So thank you so much for being here today, Jaspreet.
Well, thank you so much, Vipul, for having me, and I'm excited to be here.
No problem at all, man. So, I want to get into your story and everything that led you up to this point. But just before I do, one thing that occurred to me that I thought, would be interesting to ask you because you've been through this is one of my friends was saying, he wants to put out content there, but because he doesn't have much of a following, he feels like there's not many people watching. So what's the point? So how do you get through that period?
Oh, man. That's tough. I'll be honest. In the beginning, you're going to have to put in a lot of work and do a lot of things and get zero results and zero views. I mean, we were putting out a ton of work to get videos that were getting 20, 30, 50 views. I remember in the beginning, I would actually hit the refresh button 100 times on our videos so we could have 100 views on our videos. But, there's no secret sauce to that. I mean, you got to know why you're doing what you're doing and just kind of trust the process. And, you're going to have to put in that work initially that gets no results. I mean, you're going to have to it's a lot of work in the beginning because everybody starts with 0 subscribers, 0 followers, 0 viewers, 0 sales, but you have to put in that work if you ever want to grow. I mean, most of my topics are things that happen to me in real life. So maybe I'll be hanging out with my friends and somebody will say something like, man, my job sucks. And I'll be like, oh, that'd be a cool video for me to talk about. Or, dude, like all this money in my bank and I'm getting no return. And I'm like, oh, I could talk about investing. So just talking to people is really how I get my ideas. But, in terms of planning, I mean, it's just from what's happening around me. That's what inspires me to write videos on them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, going back just before you actually started the podcast and also the YouTube series as well. What were you doing sort of leading up to that, just to share with people that may not be familiar with your story?
Well, before I started Minority Mindset, we were doing a lot of different things. I had a business, I still do, called 5 Water Socks. It's a water resistant sock technology that I created. I'm involved in real estate on the investing and consulting side. Prior to that, I was doing a lot of event planning. So we were hosting, coordinating college parties, concerts, some wedding work. So I was doing a lot of different things in different industries before I ultimately came to Minority Mindset and the YouTube channel.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And was that all stuff that you knew that you were going to get into? Or again, was it things that you sort of experimented with?
No, not at all, man. I mean, when I was young, I always thought I was going to be a doctor. Being in a brown person, your parents always tell you you have to be a doctor. And so I didn't know anything else. I was never exposed to anything except science. Like my parents, when I was in middle school, I was in band for 1 year. My mom was like, oh, you need to quit band. And so you can do more science classes. I was in middle school. So you can't even take any more science classes. I was like, okay. And, so they were very serious about me becoming a doctor. And so I was never exposed to anything except science and math and really all that stuff. I didn't even know what entrepreneurship was. I don't think I knew that word until I was in college. And so I was, kind of just doing my own thing. And then in high school, I started working in weddings just because my friends were DJs. So I started just working with them. And then when I came to college, that's when things were, actually it was kind of in high school. I started hosting, my DJ friends were like, hey, we should host teen parties for your friends in school. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. So I started hosting these teen parties for my kids in high school. And then when I came to college, I was like, all right, I'm going to get serious now. It's time to start studying and become a doctor. And so I come to college and then I see everybody is partying and drinking. And I wasn't really into partying. I never drank. I don't drink. So I was like, all right, well, I need something to do on Friday nights. So instead of going to the parties, I was like, well, why don't I start hosting the parties? And so that's how everything kind of really started for me, of this whole majority mindset versus minority mindset, where I was like, well, everybody's partying, so why don't I do something different and host a party that everyone's going to? And so that's kind of how I really got into entrepreneurship, because all of a sudden I was making money as, a 17, 18-year-old in college. And I was like, wait, I don't need a degree to make money. This doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, it sounds stupid for me to say this now, but like, seriously, I had no idea that you could really make money without having a degree, or you could start a business without some sort of business license or MBA. I didn't know that was possible. And so from there, it just kept going. I mean, from there, I had some money saved up, and I was started to read business books, and every business book was like, you need to invest in real estate. And I was like, well, I have no idea how that works. So let me ask my dad. I asked my dad, I was like, hey, Dad, I want to invest in real estate. He was like, that's a stupid idea. You should never invest in real estate. Not only will you lose your money, but it's not safe because, you have to deal with tenants, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, every rich person in these books is investing in real estate. So I was like, well, I'm going to try it. So, it was just always that whole mindset of kind of figuring these things out by accident. I started reading these books and I just kind of went ahead and did it. I've always kind of had that stubborn personality where I just do things and then I figure it out after. So, I never knew what I was going to do. I always thought I was going to go that traditional route. And then as I progressed, more and more opportunities came my way because I kept doing these different things.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a long answer for your short.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I think it goes into a lot of detail about what you sort of did and how, because I was going to ask you about how you actually got into entrepreneurship. And it seems like it was just from you reading these things, feeling inspired, and then taking the action to head in that direction. And then realizing along the way that actually, hold on, I've made a self-discovery here that's much better than what I've been taught this whole time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly, man. I mean, I always thought of myself as kind of a hardhead and always a little bit different thinker than most people. Like even when I was in high school and I was doing kids' math homework for $20 a page, I was just like kind of always a different thinker in that sense. But I never really knew what that meant because I've always been told, don't do that, don't do that. And at first I was like, okay, I'll listen to what my parents have to say. But then as you start to grow, you start to like really like you have to make a decision. Like when I was studying for my MCAT, the medical college admission test, after my sophomore year, every single break that I had, I was like, man, I was looking at finance pages and reading these finance books, and I was like, what do I prefer to do? Like studying this biology stuff or doing this business stuff? And I was like, I have my whole life in front of me. And after my MCAT, literally the day after I took my MCAT, I think I took my MCAT on August 22nd or 21st. The next day, I closed on my first investment property. And I was like, I started making money again through this investment that I had no idea how it worked. And I was like, wow, this is like, why was I never taught this before? Why would, like, this is crazy stuff. And so, it all kind of just happened because I was stupid enough to do different things.
So when you were doing the MCAT, and then I know then thereafter you went into doing law school as well, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Did
a
you
different
did you
story.
know that it wasn't what you wanted to do, or were you like, I'm gonna dabble in this and try and do this just to figure out it's definitely not for me?
So my parents were not happy that I didn't want to be a doctor. Like they were not happy at all. And so I was like, what I'll do is I will go through with this whole medical route. At first I was like, I'm going to go through medical school, but I'm gonna become a doctor, but I'm not gonna practice as a doctor. That was my initial plan, just to keep my parents happy. But I was like, that is way too long of a route. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get into medical school and then tell my parents I don't want to go become a doctor. But then I was like, oh man, that's too much work too. So eventually I was like, all right, screw that. I'm gonna take my like as I'm taking the MCAT, I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to do the application process and all of that. So it was kind of like during that studying process that I really knew like, yo, this is not what I'm gonna do. And then so when I told my parents, they were not happy. I mean, like it's hard for me to kind of really explain. Like, I mean, my parents were like, "You're making the biggest mistake of your life." Uh, and in our community, it's like it's not just your parents; it's literally the entire like Southeast Asian community that like finds out. And so now I have my friends' moms calling me, telling me, Jaspreet, why are you ruining your life? My uncles, my aunts, all over, like from India, they're like, yo, Jaspreet, why are you being so stupid? So I was like, okay, what the heck? What do I do? And eventually my parents were like, all right, whatever. What do you want to do? I was like, I want to do business. they were like, well, you have to have some sort of degree. And then we kind of just settled on, fine, I'll go to law school because I can at least use my law degree in business. And, you know, because I mean, no matter what you do in business or whatever, you know, understanding the legal side is important. And I really understood that as I started to get more involved in business. So I was like, all right, fine. You know, I can apply this into business and what I'm going to do. And I can do it part-time so I can do my own thing. Fine. And so, and I ended up getting a pretty good scholarship. So I was like, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I guess it was just about, you know, finding a compromise really. And then,
Essentially.
you know, knowing that you've got some benefit out of it to keep yourself sane throughout that process so that you actually see it through and finish. So have you finished now, have you?
I am graduating in 2 weeks or so.
Nice.
So I'm pretty much done. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you're glad that that phase is
I
over.
am so excited. I'm already, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, so with minority mindset there, I mean, obviously you were at the start, you were posting, I think, was it one video a week? Did you start?
Started off on YouTube with one video a week. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your sort of routine or schedule now in terms of posting, and then also the way that you plan what you're going to put out there?
So right now we are doing 2 videos a week, every Wednesday and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the way I plan is kind of really similar to what I talked about earlier. I have like what do you call that? Like a notepad on my computer, and I write down all the weeks, like okay, May 1st, May 2nd, you know, the next week, and I just start writing down topic ideas. Like so, anytime I might be having a conversation or something kind of sparks an idea in my head, I'll write it down in my phone, which is connected to my computer, and then I'll know when I start, you know, getting ready to script videos or record a video. I'm like, okay, what do I talk about today? And instead of me just kind of sitting there at a computer trying to figure out, looking at a blank screen, what do I write? I already have a whole bunch of topics just because, you know, anytime I get inspired by something or something comes to my mind, I write it down because I know I'm going to forget. I have a horrible memory. So I need to write it down. And then, yeah, so I think that helps a lot. And then, you know, I think for me, the toughest thing is just scripting, trying to make something informative and entertaining, and try not to be repetitive at the same time because, you know, sometimes topics can be similar, like, you know, budgeting money and saving money because they're similar topics. And so making sure that, oh, I don't want to just keep repeating, you know, so it's just making sure that it's always new content, fresh content that's informative and entertaining. So I think that's kind of the toughest part, but that's where the skill comes in, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I do a similar thing with the videos that I put out because I recently started putting out videos on Instagram and then
Oh,
soon
awesome.
as well. And I find that having a list just when you're inspired, like on your
Yeah,
phone, on notes or on Evernote, whatever it is, just makes
yeah,
it so much easier when you go back because you're already in that creative state when that idea comes to you, and then you start, you know, fleshing it out. And when you come back to it, it's just about literally reading it and seeing which one you want to record that day or fluff out a bit more.
exactly, exactly, 100%.
Yeah, I was going to say, so that process of like, say, okay, you've got a list now and you're sitting down, you're like, okay, I'm going to record this video for this week. What happens then? So like, do you literally write out the script and then try and memorize it, or do you just try and flow naturally with it?
So when I do my script, I get at least at a minimum all the things that I want to talk about. So I know all the bullet points or all the things that I want to talk about. And then when I record, I mean, I used to kind of try to memorize in my earlier videos. You'll notice that like I was very boring. That's kind of another thing you'll see on our YouTube channel. You know, I was never making videos. So our first videos are just me, like monotone voice, no facial expressions, talking, just like talking to a camera, giving you a lecture on a very boring topic. Um, but then as I got to be more animated and learn how to do these things, I realized like, okay, if I know what I'm talking about, I can just talk, you know, like I do in person and just kind of add in my own emotion and my own flair to it. And, you know, it's easy to say, hard to do, because, you know, being in front of a camera, especially your first few times, is very tough. You know, I thought it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But, you know, just getting there and as soon as the lights are on, it's like, shoot, what am I talking about? What was my video topic? What is my line? So it's you know, it takes a lot of practice to kind of really get in that rhythm of, okay, I know what I'm talking about. Now let me just say it and have fun while I say it. So it takes some time to kind of get in practice to get to that point.
Yeah. Were you ever on camera prior to this?
I think for like my ninth grade Spanish project, but no, that was it.
So you just literally just decided, okay, I want to make videos out of this thing. I'm not gonna. So how did you know that, podcasting or blog posting wasn't like the route that you wanted to take? Because obviously there's a lot of blogs out there on similar topics as well, but you decided to go down the route of making informative videos but slightly entertaining as well. Because some people that I know, they do want to make videos, they want to put themselves out there, they feel they want to express that thing, but it's like, oh, what are people going to say? How do I do it? How do I script? Am I going to
Mm,
forget my lines? I don't feel comfortable.
yeah. I mean, honestly, like for me, I'll be very honest. I didn't think that much. I was like, okay, well, I could write blog posts, but I suck at writing. My grammar sucks, and I'm just a horrible writer, so that's out of the picture. And then when I was thinking about podcasting or making a YouTube video, I don't remember why I chose YouTube. I don't think I really knew much about podcasting. I didn't really listen to podcasts. I watched YouTube videos. So I was like, okay, I'll make YouTube videos. I had no idea what I was doing when I started. I'll be like, completely 100. I had no idea what I was doing. I was recording videos off of my iPhone. I didn't have any equipment. I was shooting in front of a blank wall, blank white wall. I had no lights, no audio record. I had spent $0 on equipment. And I just started talking about what I think my first video was like. After I talked about what is the minority mindset, it was just like, here's what's going on in gas prices. I was like, well, gas prices are, I literally was just talking about whatever was happening. And, you grow. Like, you got to crawl before you walk, and then you got to walk before you run. You will grow as you go, but you have to get started, and then you will figure it out as you go. Like, it's all baby steps.
Yeah, I remember seeing the video of you, one of the early ones about DJ Khaled Snapchat. I think that was like literally the first few weeks or first
Yeah,
few months.
that was the first few months. And it was just like, well, what do I talk about today? My friends were talking about DJ Khaled. I was like, oh, I love DJ Khaled. And like, his Snapchat I loved watching his Snapchat. People are he's one of the people you either hate or love. And I mean, I love DJ Khaled, because he's just so different and crazy, and he's willing to be himself. And I was like, I respect that. And so I was like, let's talk about is he stupid or is he a genius? And so yeah, that was a fun video.
What's changed, like in terms of where, like, where you were there making that DJ Khaled video, mindset wise and physically as well? What's changed between the way you make videos then compared to how you might go about the process now?
Well, besides the fact that I just understand how to script a little bit better, uh, just I've invested money into getting a better camera, having lights, having a better wall, and now I have people that do my editing for me. I've hired editors, so you know these are all things that I did not like. A lot of people that start YouTube channels ask me like, hey, do I need to buy this camera? Do you need to buy these lights? Do I need to hire this person? You don't need to do any of that when you're starting. Literally, just take your phone and start making videos. Once you start getting views and you start getting a little bit of money, then invest in a better camera. Once you start recouping that money, then buy some lights. Then buy, some better audio equipment. Like, don't go out and spend $3,000 buying all these things because you think you need that to have successful YouTube videos. A lot of people make the argument that, oh, there's so many YouTube channels out there now, and everybody who's big has these high quality videos and they're so professional looking. How am I going to compete against that? Well, you don't have to compete against them yet. Start small, start with what you have, and get going. I mean, you could go out and buy all the equipment now, but you're not going to know how to use it and grow or anything like that yet. Once you learn and practice and you can do that, once you get to your first 100 subscribers, your first 1,000 subscribers, your first 10,000 subscribers, you're going to know what happens, because you're going to go out and buy, let's say, a new camera right now. That first 10,000 subscribers is very hard to get. I mean, that is tough to get from 0 to 10,000, because people are seeing you for the first time. They have no idea who you are. You're still trying to figure out how to make videos and put yourself out there. And by the time you start, get things going, you're going to realize, oh, I should have bought this camera, or, technology changes, or these type of things happen. So you don't have to just go out and spend this is the great thing about the internet and business now. You have to know how to hustle before you start spending money. I mean, I made a video on this, on why having money can be one of the biggest disadvantages when you're starting a business, because you don't know how to bootstrap. You don't know how to hustle. Like you'll just think, oh, I need to go hire this publicist. I need to go hire this. You just start blowing money. But if you know how to hustle and work, and make things happen when you have $10 in your bank account or $100, you gotta kind of know how to be broke and make things work. And once you have money, you're gonna be a much better spender. I had the money. I could have gone and bought out these cameras and all that stuff at the time, but I knew, like, if I did, I don't know what I was gonna do with it. And for me, this was just a hobby at the time. So start with wherever you are, whatever you have, and just grow and just get started. And as you learn, then you can update and get better.
Yeah, I think a lot of people use that as an excuse almost as well, just because they procrastinate in starting. And they just think, oh, okay, yeah, when I get that camera, then I can start properly. Or when I get that mic, then I can start putting out content more regularly. And it's like with me as well, with this mic and with the camera that I've got. I'm not in a studio right now, but I started off with even more of a basic camera than this, even more of a basic mic than this. And then next time I'll upgrade further and further, but build the consistency. As you said, build the hustle, build the mentality of what it takes to actually get to where you need to be. And then naturally, you'll start getting the resources for what you need once you're up there.
Exactly. You just got to get started and go from there.
What would you say is the biggest thing that's helped you go from zero to where you are now, following wise, like 300,000?
Man, honestly, it's just being you. For me, like at first, it's hard to like be you on camera. I'll be honest, because you just like, as soon as the camera's on, you're like, oh, how do I be me? That's the tough part. But once you start to, really get comfortable being you, don't be scared to make a joke. Like for me, I kind of have a sarcastic, funny personality, and being able to put myself out there as me, I'm not scared to make mistakes. I'm not scared to talk about stupid things that I've done. I'm not scared. This is who I am. And I think people started really respect me for me being me and me being true to myself. Like, I know what I believe, right? I talk about consumer debt being stupid. I talk about the importance of investing, and as opposed to buying dumb things like shoes, right? I say, like, I know what I believe, and I talk about that, and I'm firm about it. I'm not saying don't buy nice things. I'm saying make sure you can afford what you can buy. And so I know what I believe, and I stick to that. And I think people respect that because I'm me. I'm not. If you don't like me, you don't like me, right? You can go watch somebody else or do something else. And so I think that's what's resonated is, I am me, and I have my own opinions, and I'm honest with people. I don't try to lie or or put up a show or anything like that. This is me, and that's it.
I think that ties in with consistency. It's really weird because I was just thinking of this as you were talking, but the more consistent you are with your videos, the more people can see, actually, he's the same person he was in the last video.
Right.
And that builds more and more. And then it just builds, actually, this is him. This is his identity. Now I've seen like 20 videos. I get what he's about. I get his vibe. I get his personality. And,
exactly.
If you're not consistent, people can't understand that about you because they don't see enough of you. And the second thing is, if you keep changing your sort of the way you are, trying to be fake or trying to portray a certain image, people, they won't understand it because there's no consistency in your personality. It's kind of weird. I was just thinking about that as you're talking. It makes a lot of sense.
And it's true, especially nowadays, man, with social media, people always try to make themselves perfect on social media. A lot of influencers do too. I mean, they try to put off this I'm a perfect person vibe. I never make mistakes, blah, 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 blah. And, they show this perfect lifestyle. And so people assume that you got to do the same thing. And for me, I'm always like, man, that's stupid. Nobody is perfect. And I know a lot of big influencers too. And so, I see what happens behind the scenes, and it's like, man, like, just be you. Like, I mean, I remember when I was throwing parties in college, I was, for a 17, 18, 19-year-old, I was making good money. And for me, like, I was never that big into clothes or flashy things. And all of my people, my buddies and people that I work with, they were like, bro, you got to buy this like expensive Gucci belt and all this other stuff. I'm like, why? They're like, oh, you got to maintain this appearance, because you're a party promoter. You got to have that look and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh man, that's not me, right? It's just why would I spend money to put up this fake show of who I am when I don't care about that stuff, right? Yeah, if I like something, I'll buy it. I'm not gonna buy it because it's expensive or just so I look flashy. Like, I don't do what I do to make you happy. You know what I mean? It's just so be willing to be you, and you're gonna stick out from a lot of people. You know, we call it the majority of people. So, you know, just be different.
When did you figure out your values, like what you stand for, so that then you could go out and portray that or express that to the world? Because a lot of people find it difficult to find out, what's their message? What am I trying to say?
Well, I think you start developing your values when you're a baby, and I mean, you always learn more and more. Like, I still learn more today, but since I mean, everybody has their own beliefs and their own personal values. Uh, it doesn't have to be financial. It could be my values on how do I do my work? Do I watch TV first, or do I do my homework first? Or everybody has their own ways of doing things. So just if you believe in a way of doing it, that's your belief. You don't have to always, listen to somebody else. Like, I tell people, like, you don't have to listen to what I say. Everybody has their own experiences, their own beliefs, their own lifestyles, their own backgrounds, their own goals. We're all different. What worked for me might not work for you, and vice versa. So learn from what I'm saying and see how you can apply it to your life. And so I think you're always developing these values since you're young. It's just knowing what's important to you.
Yeah, okay. No, it makes sense. I guess it's just taking a moment or some time to reflect on what is important to us and what we actually believe. And are we soaking in someone else's beliefs, or are we actually, working from what we think is important? So I think we can easily get mixed up in that. So it's important to take some time to think about what it is we want to move forward with.
Yeah, and
What,
it's tough because society and kind of the whole system of the world really wants you to be a sheep. Like as much as people like to say the world wants independent thinkers, society really doesn't, because we want the society wants you to go through the system and just kind of follow along. Don't ask questions and just follow that person in front of you blindly. And so it is kind of hard for you to really step back and say, what's really important to me? Why do I do this? And to really start asking these tough questions. And that's what people really get respected for, because you realize, oh, maybe consumer debt is not good, or maybe I should stop saving my money and I should invest it. And you start thinking these different things, and people will be like, whoa, I never thought about it that way. But if you're that person that can really show people or give people that value, that's how people will start coming to you.
yeah, it makes, what it's, you can make a difference between what you believe and what someone else believes, and stand for what you believe when you actually realize what it is that you feel strongly about. And I'll give you an example. What I mean is, like, for me, in a similar way to you, I believe in saving and investing money in personally developing myself in the areas and the skills of my life that I want to develop. I have no interest in material objects at this point in my life right now, like actually cars and clothes. Like, I'm all about trying to develop myself mentally and physically. Now,
Right.
I had a colleague of mine, because I'm in sales. I had a colleague of mine who he was working out the commission she was going to make. She was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to make 7,000 commission in June, I think it was. That's really
Uh-huh.
good. First thing she said, Gucci bag. And I was like, no, man. Like, I just
Yeah.
looked at it and I just looked away. I wasn't even going to speak to that, man. I was just like,
Right.
let me just carry on. You buy your bag and then you're back to zero.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's funny. It's funny. I know what you mean.
And so just talking about, where you've come and how far you've come. Obviously, like, you've garnered a lot of success, and I'm sure you're planning on, getting even more for yourself. But
Hmm.
shed some light on some of the bloopers in your life, so to speak, like the failures that you've had and the
Oh, I
things
got
that
so
you
many,
did
man. I don't
early.
even know where to start. Literally, so it's funny. I kind of have a joke with my friends that anytime I start something new, I fail before I go anywhere. My first time when I was starting my event planning business, my first party was a complete flop. I mean, I spent so much time. I didn't have that much money at the time, but I put like literally everything to make sure this was perfect at this venue that I was going to host my party at. And what I found out the day of the event, we found out that the night before, the club or venue that I was hosting the party at was raided by the police and it was shut down. So the day of the event, we had to like scramble to find a last minute place to do the event. and everything was in shambles. We ended up losing a ton of money. And I realized I made so many mistakes. I didn't have a contract with the original club. I did not plan for anything to go wrong. So it was a mess. And this was like, the grand opening launch of JS Entertainment. And it was just a complete flop. And that sucked because I had to pay way more money than I wanted to. And I was a freshman in college. So it was not good, and literally from there to real estate. The first property that I bought, at first it was great. I ended up getting sued by my tenant because apparently the management company I hired was very cheap. Remember, I was a 19-year-old kid when I first started investing in real estate. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no guidance. I didn't know what a mentor was. I was doing this all on my own. I really didn't know who to trust because my dad was like, "You're stupid." And so I was trying to do this. And I found a management company who was cheap because I thought that's good, find someone cheap. Found out that they weren't even a real management company. They didn't put our tenants on a lease. And these tenants were a little crazy. They sued my company, my real estate company, because they said that the bathtub got slippery when the water was on. What do you expect is going to happen when the bathtub was on? They went through a free attorney, and it was just like a money grab thing where they knew that, this owner, who people like to assume, rich landlord, I was a college kid, has money. But, so luckily I had insurance. I had other real estate problems. I made a video called My Worst Real Estate Deal Ever. These beginning things suck. But I made my money many times over in real estate. I made my money many times over in the party planning business. When I started Five Water Socks, I was scammed in the beginning by a fake marketing company. Made my money many times over in that. With Minority Mindset, we ended up getting scammed too. We lost our Instagram account when this is before we started our YouTube channel, or right in the beginning. We had like 17 or 18,000 Instagram followers. This is just something I was doing for fun, right? I had no idea what Minority Mindset was going to become. And I was doing it for fun, and somebody came in, they hacked our account, and their account got deleted. So we had to start over again there. So literally, I have screwed up in everything. And, that's one of those things where, I'm honest, I'll tell you I screwed up. I talk about different places where I screwed up on our channel because everybody does. And you will learn way more from mistakes than you will from successes. So might as well learn from somebody else's mistakes because it's a lot cheaper for you. Right. So, it happens to everybody. It sucks. It can really suck if, you don't know what's going on. I've been there, but you got to just keep going and keep learning, because that's the best way and the fastest way to learn. And it can also be very expensive, but, it's something everybody goes through.
So when you hit that period of failure or that event of failure, what drives you through it?
Man, same thing from the beginning is, why do I do what I do? I'll tell you, in entrepreneurship, one of the biggest things for me is proving everybody wrong. I cannot tell you the amount of people that doubted me, still doubt me, but that doubted me, especially in the beginning when they were like, "Oh, Jaspreet is making the biggest mistake of his life for not becoming a doctor, not trying to use his degree, not trying to do this, not listening to us, by not getting a job. Jaspreet is gonna fail." I'm talking about family, friends, everybody just calling me stupid, and so for me, that hurt when it happened. And I remember what that feels like. And that honestly keeps me going pretty much, anytime I'm down, I remember, like, why am I doing this? I'm going to prove this person wrong. And it's funny because when I first started to get success, we started to get publicity, and, we were on the news for our businesses, and people were like calling me like, "Oh, Jaspreet's on the news. I'm so glad he's on the news. I've been supporting him the whole time." And I'm thinking like, no, I remember what you told me. And so it's just like, this is one of those things where, I do what I do because, one, is for my family, and two, is to prove people wrong. And people say, "Oh, you shouldn't do things, it's because," listen, I want to prove them wrong. You know what I mean? So everybody has their own reason why. And you have to really find that fire for what's pushing you, and what gets you angry. What's that reason where you're gonna stay up late, you're gonna get up early, you're gonna be working through weekends, through evenings, through holidays? What is that reason that will push you and get you fired up to do that? And everybody's different, but you have to find what that is for you.
Did you ever question why you were doing what you're doing along the way?
Oh my God, I cannot tell you. Like I had a phase where I would lose sleep at night, man. I was had like these. I was getting really anxious because I was like, oh man, like what if I fail? Like what if this happens? And I was like knew in the back of my mind I should not say that. I should always focus on the positive. I've always been an optimistic person kind of for most of my life. But like once you get to the point where it's like, okay, if I don't succeed, I don't really have a backup right now because I'm not doing any, like I'm putting everything I have into this. And so if this doesn't work, what am I gonna do? And so I would get really anxious, like, yo, what are people gonna say? And like in our culture, it's not just what they say about you, it's what they say about your family, right? They relate everything you do to like your whole family. And so I was just always like, oh my God, like everyone's gonna look at me as a failure. My parents are gonna be so disappointed. Like just going on and on and on. And I would get like super anxious and I would lose sleep over this. But then, for me, the biggest thing that really helped me with that was working out, going to the gym and really kind of just getting my mind off of everything, putting in some music and just hitting the weights and not thinking about anything for 30 minutes or an hour, sometimes 2 or 3 hours, just depending on what it is, or playing basketball or something, just getting my mind off everything and then going back at it. It's tough, when you're in that kind of middle phase, because I think every entrepreneur goes through that kind of like fork in their life where it's like, am I making the wrong decision in my life or am I on the verge of a breakthrough? I don't know. And you kind of just have to keep going. And maybe you will fail, but you gotta, if that's what you want, you gotta keep working at it. And, I always say, it's from that book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. The one that really stuck with me was start with the end in mind. If you know what you want, you gotta go, work backwards and see if what you're doing is going to help you take you there. Yeah, you might fail, you might fall, but you got to keep going, up that route. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean, and it's just like I was just picturing as you were talking, like there's a door, and like as an entrepreneur, you're like, fuck this, I'm gonna go down, I'm making the decision, I'm going through it. You go through it, it's pitch black, and then you're like, I'm gonna go through it, I'm gonna get to the other side. I know
Yeah,
that there's a better life or better destination there.
right.
Get halfway, like, oh shit, I can't see both ways. Shall I go
Yeah,
back because I know where that is,
yeah,
or should I just keep going because I could be a few steps away from the next door? So it's
yeah.
just literally that's the middle period that you're talking about, and it's just like everyone feels it, but you have to, I guess, believe in the dark. As cliche as it sounds, like
Hmm.
you have to do that because you come to a point where only you see the end in mind. Like no one else is going to see it. So
Right.
you have to be your own champion, I guess, don't you?
You do, and it's a lot easier said than done, but it's fun too once you start seeing success, and it's a lot funner.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, what's the biggest lesson you've learned so far up to this point?
Biggest lesson, I would say, don't care what other people think. Just do you. You know what you want, go for it.
Do you think that having that mentality of not caring what other people think, like obviously it's easier said than done, again, that because it's such a big statement, because you might think, okay, yeah, I'm not going to care about what other people think, but then in the back of your mind, like, oh, if I put it out there, they're going to say this and they're going to say that, and am I even doing the right thing? How
Mhm.
do you make sure that you can continue with, like, make that mindset long term, if you see what I mean?
Man, you just gotta go. I think what happens is you kind of have to build that thick skin. And the only way that really happens is by kind of being told you're wrong and stupid and dumb again and again and again and again and again, to the point where it's like, people are gonna say it, and you're just like, this is what I want to do, so I'm gonna do it. Like when I was growing up, I look different. I wear a turban, I have a beard. When I was growing up, I was bullied. Like I was always told, like, oh, you're weird, you're stupid. Just I was always bullied when I was young because I looked different. And so, at the time it sucked, but it really helped me develop that thick skin, because when I decided this is who I am and this is what I want to be, that really translated to this is what I want to do. So, all right, I can do it. I think, if you're always just like worried about what other people will think, it's very hard to do anything.
Yeah. So just before I get into the last few questions, where can people find you if they want to follow you and learn more about yourself?
So you can follow us on YouTube at Minority Mindset, Instagram Minority Mindset. We have a publication, www.theminoritymindset.com. Those are the best places. So yeah, check us out. Send me a message on YouTube too. Leave us a comment saying that you came from this podcast. That way I know.
Amazing. Okay. So just to get into the final few questions. So the first one is, with everything you've learned now, you've gone through this whole process so far and all of these experiences. Is there anything you would tell your 18-year-old self with everything you know now?
Oh man, it's tough because I think I learned a lot just by doing it. So, but I mean, honestly, it would be that same thing. Just go for it. I mean, always think, what's the worst that can happen? If the worst that can happen is something you can live with, then go for it. Try something different. Always try new things. You never know what will come out of it.
Yeah. Do you know what I try to remind myself of, and which I try and help to, tell other people when they're going through a tough period, is, as morbid as this sounds, like as Steve Jobs says, don't forget, you don't come out of this alive. You're going to be dead anyway. Like, so do what you want to do. And anytime I'm going through anything tough, when I think about that, that problem crumbles. Like it literally just crumbles, because it's like, there's no point to it. Like, why am I getting stressed out? It's not going to last anyway.
Yeah, exactly, man. 100%.
So the second question is, this is a little bit more deeper, is if you could write something in a time capsule, just a few sentences for 3 generations from now to read, so your great-great-grandchildren, if they could read something that you left behind, what would you leave them with?
Oh man. Don't be scared to be you. The ones who are remembered are the ones that do something different in the world. If you try to blend and be like everybody else, no one's going to remember you, because you're just going to be like everybody else. So don't be scared to be who you are.
Powerful. Yeah. So the last question is, you're 90 years old now. You're looking back at your life, everything that you've done up to that point. What's the legacy you want to leave behind in this world?
I made the world a better place. I helped somebody, or hopefully a lot of people, live a better life and improve people's lives. I mean, I talk a lot about, making yourself better. But the reason, you want to make yourself better is not just, I believe, it's not just for you, is to help other people. And like in my community, there's a concept called seva. Seva means selfless service. Help others, give back. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. I mean, I go and teach financial literacy to kids in Detroit, which is one of like the worst school districts in America, talking to these kids because they don't have any guidance. They don't have any mentorship, giving them opportunity, showing them the world, showing them things that they can do. Because you know what, like the truth is, a lot of these kids are not going to graduate high school. And so they don't have a lot of the system that they're in. They don't have a lot of things. And so being able to just help people improve their lives and make the world a better place, because politicians are not going to do it and other people is not going to do it. So if you want to do something, you got to do it yourself. And so for me, be great so you can help others be great.
I love it, man. And you're definitely well on the way to doing that. So congrats to you. And I look forward to seeing where everything goes from now on.
I appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to you too. I can't wait to see where you guys go.
Thank you so much for your time, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.